you ready to discover who you came here to be? Welcome to the Human Design and Astro Club podcast. Human Design is a system and a tool that is here to empower you and show you your greatest potential. Come learn with us and discover who you really are. Hi friends, Krystle here. Now, before we dive into this episode that I know will be providing you a lot of value and support, we wanted to share with you how we can support you off the podcast because we have a few new opportunities cooking in my kitchen and also that Leah has selected in her market. So the first offer is what we've had for a little while, which is a free guide on tips and tricks to honoring your strategy and authority. Now, if you've had a hard time understanding what your strategy is, if you've had a hard time understanding how to honor your authority and use it in your everyday life, you're going to want to head to the show notes down below and pick up this free guide. Now, our next offer is our language manual, and this is called Your User Manual to Your True Self because it reveals with you how to understand the language in human design, how to understand the key terms and the dense information in human design. We have a lot of images that give descriptions and allow you to follow your chart and learn how to use this language in your everyday life. And you can pick that up in the show notes down below. Now, our next offer is our mini classes on the 4 transformations, which are the variables in human design that help lead you on the path to purpose and help you better understand your process and how to get to where you are going in life. Now we have bundles with this and also a la carte classes on determination, cognition, and environment, and you can pick those up in the show notes down below. And we will be starting a variable intensive. We are super excited about this, so excited, which will be a 5-week program on every single variable. And we are going to be doing a hands-on approach with this, where we'll be guiding you through the classes in depth, week by week, and you will get access to every single guidebook and workbook for life. Yes, you heard that right. Please look out for our wait list soon, as this will be starting in October and there will be limited spots to this intensive. Now, we also have another class, brand new. This is brand new. You've heard it here first, that there will be a 3-part series on 2027. Yep, I know everyone's interested in this class. 3 live Zoom classes recorded, and it's going to be on the 2027 mutation that we are all entering into. And the first class will be on August 22nd for a limited time only for the live classes. Please feel free to head to the show notes for more detail and to register for the class. Now, we also have our 2022 energy forecast. Now, we started at the beginning of the year. We went through all the major players that are happening in 22, and we talk about them through the lens of human design, astrology, and tarot, and you can pick that up in the show notes down below. Now, speaking of energy forecasts, we have a really big opportunity for you guys, especially you listeners that have been listening to us week after week with the program and the transit updates that we've been going through. So we've created a monthly bonus exclusive. Okay, this is called the program exclusive, which is going to be bonus material on the transits and more. And you'll also be getting a worksheet with this each month, where we're going to talk about the gates and channels in detail for each month, as well as a few other things that we'll let you guys know about soon. So definitely pay attention. It'll be coming out in September. Make sure you are subscribed to our email so you can join that immediately. Now, we also have Nurture Your Child Through Their Design. This is a class that we did, a free class that we recorded, that we have decided that we're going to make a whole guidebook for. and you'll be able to pick up the recording as well as the guidebook. And we're going to be going through all the types through the lens of a child. And then we're also going to be giving you nervous system regulation through the variables. We've come up with a few ways that we've been working with our children with this, and we wanted to share it with you. So please pay attention to this coming out late August. Now, if you've been wanting to work with Leah and I one-on-one, if you enjoy how we explain human design, astrology, and tarot, I do the human design portion and Leah does the tarot portion, and we both do one-on-one readings. So if you would like to get a reading, you can head to our website in the show notes down below and book a reading with us. Now, I'm going to stop talking about all this stuff, and I'm just going to let you guys get into it. Feel free to reach out to us. We love hearing from you, and go ahead and listen to this next brand new episode. See you over there, friends. Welcome to the Human Design and Astro Club podcast. I'm Krystle.
And I'm Leah.
And this is the podcast you've been waiting for.
It's getting more and more ridiculous, I think, every single time.
There's going to be a point where I'm going to have just straight up moves. I'm going to have a choreographed scene for you guys on YouTube, because obviously podcast people, you can't see us. And I want to say something. The majority of you are on the podcast. I know we have not talked about our YouTube channel, but we also record visually. And we put it on YouTube. We don't talk about it. We did it, I don't know, 6+ months ago. There's 5 of you that consistently watch, but hundreds of you that listen to the actual podcast. So if you like us, maybe you want to see us, I don't know. We're over on YouTube. We're also going to be we've been talking about doing something. I didn't tell Leah. She probably has not actually done it yet.
I actually have done.
Oh, we've been recording ourselves. So we might have something else coming on the YouTube channel. So all 5 of you that are over there, we've got a treat for you. And those that are on the podcast that have not made their way over to YouTube, this might be your invitation to go check us out on YouTube. Yeah. Right now, I'm currently wearing a beanie, a jacket, and a hoodie because it's fucking freezing here.
I was going to ask if it was cold.
Today it was cold, and then I just went and got my nails done. And even my nail tech lady was like, "Why are you so bundled up?" I was like, "Have you been outside today?" And she's been inside. And then she went outside to move something and came back in, and she's like, "Oh," she's like, "It is cold." I was like, "Yes, I prepared myself." Fucking first line. I knew what was happening. I already was experiencing it. And my husband likes to freeze us out. Now we just have the windows open because, we live in the mountains, on a hill. And we're kind of in a shaded area too. It's just colder. It's just always cold. We woke up this morning and it was 40 degrees. What was the temperature for you?
It wasn't that cold, but we're supposed to get the cold front. We had this warm strip. It was 70 today. It was really nice.
Yeah. It was in this low 60s.
Yeah. It'll get there. So, well, I mean, you're also still, I feel like you're still kind of acclimating to.
I don't know if I'll ever acclimate. Okay.
Yeah, I know. I'm from Maine, so I know every season, and this is the season where everyone's like, "Oh, I love fall. It's so nice. We're not hot anymore." I'm like, I miss summer already. But I also have never lived somewhere where you did, where it was summer every day of the year.
7. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it is, but my nail tech also admitted that it is a little bit colder earlier this year than it usually is, because waking up in the 40s in September.
Yeah. Here we are talking about the weather, but I did read an article that there is supposed to be a cooler for the East Coast, is supposed to be a cooler winter, a much colder winter.
Oh no.
Not as much snow, but colder, at least up here in the Northeast. I don't know if that qualifies for you guys down there.
It probably does, because I'm midway. So I'm going to say I probably qualify. I'm not excited. I don't like what you just said to me, because I already had that thought today. I said to myself, because I predict things. I'm pretty good at predicting the future. I don't want to say I'm perfect because I'm a human, but I'm pretty good. And I was said to myself earlier today, I was like, I'm smelling, I feel like my spidey senses are telling me that it's going to be, I think this is going to be a colder winter. And that you just said that to me terrified me.
Oops.
Okay. The only good news is, so when we first moved here, and it'll be 2 years on Thanksgiving. I cannot believe that. 2 years on Thanksgiving since I moved to my correct environment. It's insane. But anyways, and I one day need to tell that story like the week before I move, or like just like those months of preparing, and then the week before I moved. I've never packed so fast in my fucking life. I've never gotten rid of things with so much ease and grace, and things never lined up more beautifully than that moment in time. But we came basically when winter was starting on Thanksgiving, and like we weren't supposed to leave the day we left, but I had this feeling. I was like, we need to go. I just like, I don't know, my third line was like, I'm fucking done with you bitches. Like, I'm done with you, Florida. And I was like, Dave, I think that we should drive in the middle of the night. I thought he was going to tell me I was crazy. Last minute I tell him, I'm like, we're basically ready. I'm slightly still packing that last day, but I'm like, you know what? I'll pack as we pack up the car. Like I will finish like that. Talk about motivation. So I was like, I think we could make it work. We could leave at midnight. And I thought he was going to tell me that I was crazy. He's like, no, I think that's a good idea. Also, because like we basically had movers that had come the week prior, took all of our furniture. We had nothing also. Okay. And because they were gonna have to make stops, and like they had to leave ahead of time, but we still ended up sleeping on the floor of our apartment for a good few days with
I
nothing.
remember that. Yeah.
That was hard, but it was fucking worth it. I was like, just to fucking like, I had to go. Like like when you're after your Saturn return, if you are not in your correct environment, the universe will, especially if you're going through the deconditioning process, will push you there. Like I was literally pushed there. Like everything about what I did was like all like spleen, sacral, and G center and heart. Like everything was just operating in this like symbiotic relationship where they were just like fueling each other and connecting to each other, and like it was just, I don't know. I wish I could have filmed it. It was the most intense situation, but I don't know if I'll ever get used to this weather. Weirdly enough, the first winter was not so bad for me. And the only reason why I realized why I think it wasn't as bad was because I was running almost every day like a lunatic. So I built up that like hard layer for like that, you know, that coldness, because I remember thinking it's not so bad. It's not good. But it's not so bad. But I remember last year I felt colder, and where we live now is actually a little bit warmer than where we originally ended up. And while we were there, I was like, it seems like, and we found out it snowed more in Asheville than where we are, because we're kind of like in between like two cities that I wanted to be in. Um, and so I was like, I can't. And like, I'm like, the roads in Asheville, if anybody's been to Asheville, I mean, I don't know what they're doing. Like, let's get our shit together, especially because so many people are moving here now. It's
Yeah.
starting to get overpopulated, and the roads are awful in Asheville. Where we moved to, the roads are a little better. They're a little flatter, a little more dry kitchens for me.
I'm proud of you for like driving now. I remember when we first talked, when you
I
first
didn't
moved
drive
there,
for
you were
six
like,
months.
I'm not leaving this house. You're like, don't even, Dave has to drive me everywhere. You were terrified. You're like, we don't have hills in Florida. I was like,
No, I
Krystle.
I could not fathom these roads. I couldn't, but they are really bad. Like I didn't factor that part in.
Yeah.
It just didn't, it did not compute when I was thinking about roads and also like the weather. Like,
It's
those,
climate.
I just didn't factor that in just because I just love this area so much. But if
Hmm.
I could like remove those two things, it's like absolutely perfect. But I had to like really face my fear. But where we live now, it was best that I didn't start there because the roads there are just really awful. And
Yeah.
the traffic there is really bad. So between the traffic and the roads, I just my spleen was like, fuck no.
Yeah.
My spleen was like, I will walk wherever I need to go. And luckily there was a bunch of shops close by that I was able to walk to places with the kids for some stuff to like get out of the house. And plus, that was also around the time when nobody was going anywhere because that was when we
Right.
were like heavily into COVID. Who the fuck moves out of state, uproots your entire family in the middle of COVID? I do. People ask, they're like, was that really crazy? I actually no. It was like the most smooth situation that you could think of with like moving out of state because usually it's chaotic, right? Just moving in
Right.
general is chaotic.
Yeah.
It really there we had a couple little small things and like where I was like, "Don't you do this to me." And and I had to like smooth talk this guy. My 10 like my 1034 turned on and I felt it. It just like the 1034 and the 4426 came on. I was like, "Sir, I need to tell you a story and I need your help. I'm trying to get the hell out of Florida. If you do not do this for me, if you do not fix these panels on the side of my house, I may not sell my house right away and I may have to put it back on the market. I don't care what you need to do. I need you to come here while it's storming and just do it." I don't know. I don't know how I talked him into it. And it did end up raining. Like we all knew it was going to happen. But I got Milo to stop the rain. I kid you not. I was like, nothing's going to stop me. And I'm like, I have a manifester sitting right here. And I said, Milo, tell the rain to go away. And he goes, rain, go away. And it was like instantaneously, it stopped. And I was like, holy shit, you guys can just m- like configure time and mute mutate it and like I'm just like, this is insane. The whole situation was crazy.
That's really cool.
I can't believe it's been almost 2 years.
Yeah.
I'm trying to brace myself. I'm afraid that we are gonna get more snow. Where we live now, it doesn't snow. Like it snowed once last year, which is perfect to me. I said if one snow a year I can handle. Um
Oh, it's so funny.
I don't I really I mean, and also that I will not drive in the snow. Are you fucking kidding me? I had to go pick Milo up from school after because like then the schools open up once the snow they come and clear the snow out, right?
Yep.
And so, but it's still not good. Still not good. And then I worry, I have this whole fear while I'm driving is the black snow.
Black ice.
Black ice, I mean. Yeah,
Yeah.
terrifying. I'm
It is
driving like
terrifying.
5 miles an hour.
Crystal's like,
I like my knuckles are going white.
that's like Garrett's favorite time to drive is during the middle of a blizzard. Like we'll go out for drives and like find trees that have fallen and we like drive around because it's nice and quiet and you can't hear cars driving. So
Slows
it's like
down.
this whole thing. Yeah. He loves to go out and then he'll find places to, drive around in the deep snow and the girls love it. They like to do it. We haven't been out the past couple of years to do any like big trips like that, but anytime it snows, he's like, I'm just gonna go drive. Like he could be a plow truck driver. He'd be like, I'm just gonna go drive around for a little bit. It's so
No,
funny.
thank you. Just
Yeah.
no, thank you. But anyways, if you're new,
Anyway.
welcome.
Yeah.
Clearly, if you haven't noticed yet, we are a bunch of weirdos. That's what this podcast is. We are your local aliens here to
Mhm.
provide for you what this matrix is I don't know. I don't know if the word offer. I guess they are offering us. There's a lot of opportunities. There's always opportunities. There's opportunities, and then there's, sometimes they throw a little curveball. It's usually Uranus that likes to do that.
Yeah, that was fun.
Uranus, whichever way you want to say it. I feel like a lot of astrologers say you're not a real astrologer if you say Uranus. I'm like,
Uranus.
fuck you. Who cares?
Who
Like, it's
cares?
like,
You all know.
you know what I'm talking about. Uranus, 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 they're all the same. Okay. Whatever. I don't
Whatever.
think it just doesn't matter. But if you're new here, we like to come on here every week and provide you value and potential of how to make the most out of your week. We actually just recently launched, it'll be this week, we've launched our first Program Plus, which is our premium episodes that are monthly forecasts with packed full of details that I'm going to be explaining to you in just a moment. So this is something that you're definitely going to want to pick up because it's only $11.99. And I'll tell you in a little bit about everything that you're going to be getting. And I'm just really excited about it because I thought that, you know, we come on here week after week. We're not giving you all the details. Not everybody knows what human design is. Not everybody understands all the details and the depth of human design. It can be very confusing. So the forecast is for people that have an understanding of human design, but also for people that want to learn the gates, the channels, the centers, even some astrological placements that maybe you need a little bit more information on. That's what this is. That's what this is going to be. And it's something that I always wish I had. And now I already looked at it. I've been looking at the calendar for the next month because we created a forecast calendar. So it's just going to make it really easy for me. I'm going to print it out on October 1st so I can put it up on my bulletin board. And it's just going to make my life so much easier. I might even print one for my fridge. I'm going to put it in my phone. I'm excited. That's for me, that's the most exciting part.
Yeah.
And just having also just that whole forecast calendar because it comes with a little bit more stuff. So anyways, yeah. So the other thing that I wanted to talk about was my mother.
Oh, goodness. Yes.
Before we get into the week. So my mother is a 2/4 emotional manifesting generator. And I know a lot of you guys like her because I've heard you guys like to make comments. I also mention her in my stories sometimes. But she's an interesting lady. She also has the channel of struggle. My mother loves a good struggle. She loves it. She lives for it. It's like she can't, it's like people that have the channel of struggle, they just like they can't help themselves. They're not supposed to. They're supposed to go through it. So it's like, but it's very hard when you're watching a channel of struggle, like do it and you're like, but there's an easier way. There's going to be a better way. The best is also when they're emotional because the channel of struggle. Okay, we've already started with the words. Anyways, the channel of struggle is splenic. It's a splenic root pressure. But my mom's also an emotional. So together it makes for a fun ride. So right now there's been a hurricane happening in Florida that's also going to make its way. Like we're supposedly in North Carolina supposed to get a lot of rain this weekend, which really ruins my son's birthday because I had plans for some outdoor events for him that I'm going to have to probably now change those plans. But that's okay. I would love to have my mom here at the very least, but we're not sure if she's going to make it because we don't know exactly I haven't actually talked to her since earlier in the day. So, because she had talked about she might potentially lose power. And if she loses power, that means that there's a good chance the airplanes are not going to fly because if there's probably something with the weather potentially, or at least with the planes, like I don't know, like if they're not going to risk not having electricity in the airport. So I told her to leave like yesterday. I was like, just leave. She knew we've known about this hurricane for quite a few days now, right? And she could have made the move up her flight to make sure that she's going to be here, even if it's just a few. It's better to be, to me, it's better to be a few days early than to be a few days or more late.
Yeah.
Um, Especially because there is a time frame here that involves my son's birthday.
Yeah.
So I said to her, just leave earlier. And she said to me yesterday, I'm not ready.
Mm.
It also has to do with one other thing that I'm not going to discuss on here because it's a personal situation, but she could have made it work. She chose not to. I get it. I know she's emotional. I know like she likes a good struggle, because if she can't end up leaving tomorrow, I'm just going to like I'm gonna have to let go, because I don't want, because like, when emotionals do things and you're a non-emotional, we're the ones that are mirroring their solar plexus, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we're the one that looks crazy. And I'm like, Krystle, don't get crazy. If you cannot get on that plane, you need to not get crazy. Because I know
Yeah.
my mom also has the channel of moodiness. That's for me, like the 4037, the channel of community, which she has two emotional channels, which is it's been a fun ride my whole life with those two. But the channel of community, also because I have half of it and I understand parts of it, like that one, even though it does deeply affect me, it doesn't trigger me the way the channel of moodiness does. The channel of
Mm-hmm.
moodiness is like, I've talked about this before, it's like a hot poker. And she says things sometimes, it just like gets under your skin. And it would sound completely different if it was coming from somebody that didn't have that channel or wasn't an emotional, just but more so that specific channel. Because it just like it's like somebody just like put like the fire hose, the water, the what's it called? I just forgot words. Is it the fire hose? Is there another word? The hydrant?
No, it'd be fire hose.
Okay. I didn't know. I feel like I'm like, is there another word I'm missing? I don't know. Guess not. Anyways, it's like that. It's like as someone took that fire hose and shot it in your face. It's gonna shock you, and it's also gonna trigger you in ways that you wouldn't even know until it happened. And so I'm just telling myself, like, you need to prepare yourself that if she cannot get on that plane, you cannot flip out. You
Yeah.
can't do it. Don't do it. You can you can control yourself, Krystle.
I'm gonna get a call tomorrow. Um,
I hope not. And then that's good. If that happens, that means it's going to affect something else that we have going on potentially.
yeah.
So I'm just like, come on, Cosmos, don't fuck with me. Not
Yeah.
tomorrow.
Let's make it
But
work.
but anyways, so that's where I'm at with life. Just
I
trying.
realized that my mom and I, speaking of mothers, my mom thinks I'm like the funniest person ever. And when I talk to her on the phone, she laughs at like everything I say. And I'm pretty sure it's my 4323 that she's like
Yeah.
picking up on. I think I have to look at her chart. I can't remember
One
if
of
she has either one of those. But I'll have to look and see and I just started noticing it more recently, like, and it's not even like things that I think is really like that funny. Like I was eating sushi on the phone with her yesterday and I got like a piece of wasabi and I was like, oh, it's hot. I'm like, wasabi. And she was like, ha ha. She's like laughing wicked hard. I was like, I didn't realize it was that funny. And then I did it again to myself because, torture, and wasabi is delicious, but because it only takes like a second for it to hit you and then it goes away.
Oh yeah, and you don't like
Um,
spicy things.
and I don't like spicy things, but I can
But
handle
you like,
small bits of wasabi.
yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, I just thought that was funny that I realized. I was like, she just always thinks I'm really funny. And then my dad, I think he's defined up there. He
Yeah,
doesn't think I'm funny at all. Yeah.
yeah, probably. Yeah, I probably only. I feel like only someone that's either open or undefined up there, or that has either the full channel or half the channel would find.
Yeah. Like Garrett and I will make each other like cry laugh
Yeah,
sometimes because like he'll say something and then he'll just laugh about it. And then I'll just like cry laugh about it and it'll just go off. And we're both like, oh, and when we get to the end, we're like, oh, we really needed that laugh. Like, those like full belly.
yeah,
Yeah. I like those. Those are fun.
yeah. I like to watch. Do you guys like to watch comedy specials?
He does. I will watch them, but I wouldn't be like, let's watch a comedy.
I love watching them. I
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I love comedian. I don't know, but laughter is from the sacral. It's all fucking sacral. And I've talked about this on Instagram before, and people are like,
Yeah,
"Really?"
you do with
I'm like,
Otis.
"How do you not? It's all diaphragm, man.
Yeah.
All down here." It's like I feel the activation of my sacral when
Hmm.
I'm laughing. Like it is turned on. Like if you want to know what a sacral feels like, laugh.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like butterflies for me, kind of like flutteries.
Yeah, it's probably pretty intense for you guys, but I I love it. I love laughing. Feel like that's when the sacral's in their prime, when they especially like when they can make somebody laugh.
Hmm.
Like I didn't realize, like I talked about in my stories also earlier this week, that um I didn't realize the comedy show I was putting on for everybody during our kids class on Nurture Your Child Through Their Design, which you can also pick up, by the way, for only, how much is it? 25 bucks?
25.
Yeah, I'm like, how much are things? I don't even know. But yeah, I was like, after I had, because we have to watch ourselves again,
Hmm.
unfortunately, sometimes. And I'm watching myself and I'm like, you are a lot of things, and you are putting on this comedy show when you're trying to educate people.
And those are the moments where I'm like, do I unmute myself and tell her, like, maybe you should sit down? But I never,
But it wasn't necessarily about this. I mean, I was in the most awkward position of my life.
I could feel your back hurting for you. And
I
you
had
had said that
somebody else
today.
message me that got our class that also said the same thing after I
Yeah.
shared those videos. They're like, yeah, when I was watching the class, I was like, oh, your back. I was like, your
Yeah.
back was hurting. My back was hurting for you. And I was like, how many other people thought this? Uh, but that's the third line. Okay. Especially third line bodies, we are going to do the weirdest shit. You guys just like have to let us go through the struggle. It only took me like 30 minutes to sit down.
No, I don't think it was that long, was it?
At
Was
least
it?
it was a minimum 15.
Oh,
Yeah, it's probably minimum 15.
that's enough for your back anyway. Anyways, you did finally.
I did finally decide, and like it was hurting the entire time. Like it wasn't like I was just in the position and it looked awkward. Like it was legit hurting. Because I have a bad back and shoulder. It's
Yeah.
just like radiating down, and I'm like, I can,
Well, and like you were trying to breathe, and I was like, I was like, maybe, I'm like, how does she get in the frame but also stand but not?
I know there was
Um,
no real way
we were
because we
all
have
going through it
a
with
camera.
you.
We only have our computer, and it's not
Yeah.
doesn't have the widest lens.
No, it doesn't. It's very
Can't
awkward.
zoom out or zoom in. Like there's none of that. So
No, we were there with you. We experienced
now I
the,
figured it out. Now I figured out how to do these live classes with a chair.
yeah.
And when we did our 2027 class, I was better, other than when I dropped the notepad. But we skipped that part for you guys that are going to be picking up the 27. I swear we should have a bloopers scene
I
at the
think
end
so. Oh my
of all
gosh.
these classes. I feel like people might buy it just for the bloopers. Um, but anyways, um, I didn't even finish what I was saying about if you're new here, but if you are new here, clearly there's a lot happening. Okay. We talk about weird shit. We talk about human design. We talk about astrology. We talk about tarot. We do educational episodes on human design because that's our main focus is human design. And then we also have guests, which, if you're listening to this, maybe you caught our last week's episode on mushrooms. If you're interested in mushrooms, if you're interested in psychedelics, if you're interested in other versions of mushrooms as well, not just psychedelics, but just like the mushroom family, you might appreciate this episode.
Mm-hmm.
Leah appreciated it. She didn't even know what she was going to be listening to. And
I
she,
did,
oh,
yeah.
that was very interesting and fun and educational. And I was like, oh, good. Okay. That is what I was going for because Leah wasn't able to make it, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
So it was just me and Nina, who you'll get to meet if you have not checked out that episode. So go, it's the one that's right before this.
93.
Oh, yeah, because Leah's already got it ready.
Yeah.
We're in the past, guys, so technically we actually haven't launched this episode yet, but I'm really looking forward to hearing what people have to say. I feel like
Yeah.
if you enjoy mushrooms or if you're mushroom curious, that this episode is definitely for you.
And it's even if you're not any of those things too, like
Yeah.
you can still listen to it and still get some like fun info. It's just fun to like learn something new about. I mean, I'm learning this like every time you bring an idea up to me, I'm like, I'm learning about something new. And maybe I had no idea what that even was, but now I know a little bit more than I did before I listened to it.
Wants to go on a trip.
Yeah. Yeah.
That'll be the first thing we do when we finally meet. I'll be like,
When we meet,
there are some mushrooms.
you'll miss me in the woods somewhere. I'll be gone.
No, we're not going. I am not doing that again unless we're in like a cat, like any, I'll do that potential situation if it was like maybe a glamping situation
Yeah.
where there's still access to phones
Mm-hmm.
because I don't want to go through that experience again without it. I learned my lesson. I made a fucking mistake and I learned. I'm not going to do that again. I'm too old. I'm too old.
Yeah.
I have children. Luckily, nothing bad happened, but it woke me up enough to realize that I need to make sure that I am by a phone. I'll definitely do it again because it's like I said in that episode, like it's mutating us. And I feel like for where we're about to go after 2027, I think everyone is going to need to take them. And you can do with that information with what you want or something along those lines that is going to have a similar effect. Maybe not necessarily, maybe it doesn't have to be shrooms, maybe it'll be something else for another individual. But there's a reason why they're becoming popular right now. And it's not just a coincidence that it's happening now when we're going through this huge transitional global shift of a completely new cycle that we're entering into. It's not a, it's I just like I understand what's happening. Where's my universal mic, everybody? Somebody give it to me. Is this thing on?
The tiny mic.
Now, where's my tiny mic? Hold on. I have it. Excuse me. Is this thing on?
Listen up.
Listen, everybody. Listen, world, planet Earth. I have news for you. We are moving into a completely new global cycle. We are leaving the cross of planning. We will no longer be in a communal format anymore. All systems are crumbling. Allow them to crumble. Rise from the ashes of those dead systems and let's form some new ones. This is about taking your individuation, who you are, and moving towards a new tomorrow. Okay?
Baby claps.
Yeah,
but for real, like for real.
Get the class. Everyone, I've talked to everybody that's gotten the class, and their minds are blown from the people that have picked it up. From some people came live, some people got the recorded, because we pre-recorded and we had people that were able to purchase early. I'm telling you, it's not just because it's my class. I wouldn't be talking like this. I just wouldn't.
You're going to want this class for sure.
It's going to fill in so many blanks. Leah didn't even know.
I had no idea. I mean, I had some ideas,
yes,
but
you were even hesitant. You're like, do we really need to do this? I was like, we need to do it.
you're like, Leah, you just chill out for a second. You just
Let me
listen.
do the class and then you'll see. And I knew exactly what was going to happen. And now it was the best was watching people's faces for me because I got to, and then just like, oh, and like, oh yeah, that makes, oh, okay. It was like just so many things just made sense. And like, if I could have been, you know how, what's his face? I don't know if we should mention his name because I know that he ended up getting the boot. But at the time, everybody thought he was doing a great job. What's his face from New York? I just totally forgot his name. Cuomo.
Oh, yeah.
When he was doing the whole reports, remember when everyone was like, he's who needs to be standing up and giving blah, blah, blah. I'm like, you guys should have let me take the mic.
Yeah. Yeah.
I knew exactly what was happening. I was not afraid other than the chaos because there was just so much chaos. There was fear with the chaos because people were so blind to what was happening and still are. Um, but what was actually happening, I wasn't afraid of because I knew why. And that's the reason why I wanted to put out the 2027 class is because I want to give you guys the reason why all of this is happening because there is an actual energetic reason. So, anyways, we'll get more into the details of it. We'll be dropping little breadcrumbs over on our Instagram. We'll be sending you guys some emails, giving you a little bit more detail that we're not going to give to you probably on here so much.
Yeah, so get on our email list. The link is in our description to get on our newsletter because that's where we'll send out all of our updates and everything.
Yeah, and that's when you can be the first to purchase this as well, because it'll be dropping probably after we get out of the shadows of Mercury retrograde because it's been pretty spicy and I'm not interested in dropping anything other than our forecast.
Yeah, we have minor things that are like going haywire. Never mind.
Yeah, we're not dropping that till till after the 10th. So expect something after the 10th. That's also a good time to do any launches, which we do give some great notes on when to do things, when to maybe take breaks for the month of October in our forecast. So I guess let's just go ahead and dive in and I'll give you a little more information on that at the beginning of this update if you're interested in the forecast. So let's first talk about Mercury for a second. So yes, Mercury is officially it's officially gone direct at this point. But like I said just before with the shadow, remember that Mercury goes through a shadow phase before it retrogrades. And also after it moves forward, there's a little wonky behavior actually happening with this one. So that's why I'm like, I'm not, even though it's direct, I'm like, we're not launching this. Right. I already saw what's coming. I'm like, no, thank you. Okay. Like, work with the cosmos and not against it. Like I see a lot of, we actually talked about this earlier. I see a lot of people doing launches right now, and I see a lot of failed situations happening with people. I'm like, dude, you should not. I'm like, if you're an entrepreneur, there's usually workarounds. You're launching things on your own timeline, right? Unless like I guess you have like a group of if it's more like corporate, right? But if you're an entrepreneur, you can work around a lot of these harder transits. And I would say anything right now in particular is not the best time. So, but it is what it is. We all have to also learn. We have to go through stuff. So do whatever the hell you want. Okay. But we won't be feeling completely free from the shadow until after the 10th. So that's a better time to launch anything. So if anything still seems a little confusing this week, give yourself time. And if you would like more detail on what is happening with the forward movement, plus some other planets that will be moving forward this month, I'm pretty excited about that. I highly suggest picking up, like I was just talking about, our new Program Plus, which are premium episodes that are full of detail, full of detail on what the major players are for the month, which will include the gates, the channels, the astrological placements that we do not talk about on here. There's also going to be a tarot card pull for the month that is associated with a gate. So that's also you're not going to get that on here. This is exclusive to the Program Plus. So in which this one that we pulled happens to be very synchronistic. So I'm excited to hear what people think about that. So if you want to learn all about the details of the month and how to take, not how to make, to take aligned action to come into your unique flow state, this month's forecast for October will be for you, which also includes a full calendar that you can print out, pop up on the background of your computer, follow along with the gates in the sun and the earth, plus the moon signs. We're going to be giving that as well. It's going to look like a whole calendar. So you're not only going to get an hour audio of going through the details, you're also going to get a nice calendar. It's going to come with a few other things as well. So, and then there's also going to be major aspects that might change. And there's also going to be part of the forecast comes with reflection questions, altars that you can create, and rituals connected to those altars, and also connected to the new moon and the full moon for that month. And there's just a lot of detail that you will not get on the weekly podcast. This is very surface that we're talking about on here. I hardly ever even mention gates, hardly. And plus, this is also preparation for the month. As a first line, I'm for that. I'm all for that. I mean, look at me right now. I got a beanie on, a jacket. I'm prepared for winter already. Okay, I'm always trying to be prepared, and I want to prepare you guys also. So when we put out these weekly programs, you're not getting the preparation, you're not getting the detail that can really help for you to co-create with the universe. And as a first line, as I was just saying, this is something I wish I had and still want to have, that I had to create for myself and also for you guys, because it's what I've been using in my life to reach success that I am now at. And with Human Design and the Astro Club, we really want to provide that value of support for you to reach success that we know you can also reach. And this again is only $11.99. It's a lot of detail, and it's at a very accessible price. Okay, so I'm going to stop 4426ing you right now, and we're going to move on to what is continuing to happen on Monday. So moving forward, we have a very prosperous day on Monday potential. Okay, because there's a detriment here. So there's always a catch, right? So and this is also my little generator's third birthday, and he was born on the 3rd, which and he's also a third line, and I find that all to be very funny for some reason. So on this day, we have a focus on intuitive knowing, which is really connected to our depth in seeking truth and insight. So we can focus on developing our skills and talents to create more meaning in our life, and we are being grounded in our resources. So how can we create the depth of skills so we can provide the correct resources for our community and the collective? And this is actually a full frequency that is connected to the heart and the throat. So we have full access on looking out at the world to know how to control and create these resources, but also how to direct them. How can we take aligned action to properly direct the resources to reach the right people? And it is also indicating that there's a chance, because it's like I said, this is in detriment here, that you might either take an ineffective action at the beginning. Okay. So don't beat yourself up if you do. That I believe potentially, what I'm seeing here is that potentially once we get out of the shadow phase of this retrograde period, plus other planets are going to be moving forward this month, that towards the end of the month, that might be when more opportunities and prosperity might present themselves, and maybe after the chaos of the full moon as well, because that's a partial solar eclipse. Chaos of the new moon, excuse me. Let me correct myself. The new moon in Scorpio. It's going to be intense, but we talk about it in the forecast if you'd like to pick it up. So we are communicating on what's causing friction in our lives at the beginning of this week. And there's a lot of opportunity to really take advantage of this prosperous moment. So just have it there in your little pocket. Okay. You're going to know when you need to pull it out. Use your authority for that part. Okay. Can't help you with that part. That part you got to do yourself. Okay. And so the week goes, there's more momentum picking up towards the end of the week. Okay. So on Saturday, we enter into a new program, which is also connected to our intuition and more on our intuition in relation to our future. Okay. So, and this is really great as we head into the eclipse because it is really, which is going to be at the end of the month, because it's really foreshadowing what's to come. This new insight might bring clarity on our confusion or become a little bit more confusing before we can really see the big picture a little more. And so we are being grounded in our heart, our ego. We are being grounded in an awakening. We are about to walk through a very expansive moment. So we also have an activation with the heart and the G center that's really propelling us towards a new direction with love. Also on Saturday, Pluto goes direct. So we have two planets at the beginning of the week. I'm sorry, at the beginning of the month of October going direct. I'm so happy when Mercury goes direct. So excuse me for all of my mistakes. But then on Sunday, we have a really beautiful full moon in Aries on the 9th. Now, Aries is a cardinal fire sign. Okay. It is the first sign of the zodiac. So this is immediately inviting you to take action. Okay. What's it helping you to take action on? Releasing or completing where you were 6 months ago during new moon Aries, which was in April. So where were you in your where were you in your life at the beginning of April? Did the intentions you set come to fruition? This is a question for you to ask yourself on Sunday, or towards maybe even that week after. Like nothing just explodes, on these new moons or full moons. Like maybe something will happen or maybe things will shift after that. It has to kind of like work its way into the material world. So what is it that you need to come to a completion right now? This full moon is pushing us towards something potentially shocking. So you definitely want to take a look at where Aries falls in your chart, as I've talked about in past episodes. See what house Aries falls in, see if you have any planets in Aries. And this is about willpower. It's about fire. It's about commitment. It creates a competitive place of courage for you. This is also a desire to be first. So, with this full moon, use your willpower to leap into the void and release or complete something that needs to be done. Okay. And so, if you also have an open or undefined heart, give yourself a little bit of grace. Don't feel like you have to pressure yourself to prove yourself. Really allow this full moon to kind of like set you up and release a bunch of shit right now, because the new moon's also going to feel that way because it's happening in the South Node in an eclipse. So there's a lot of releasing that's going to be happening in the month of October, so that we can really step into this new global cycle we're going to be shifting into, because we're really at the end stages of the nodes right now. So give yourself a little grace on if you feel like you're unclear about direction, because I feel like after this month, things are really going to start picking up. So use this full moon to your advantage is what I'm trying to say. So that's the gist of this week. There's a few other things that we talk about in the forecast that I'm not going to talk about in here because it's not, we can't say everything on here. We'll be here all day. But that's the gist. And yeah, let's, I guess, see what the cards have to say.
I am just loving the Synchronicity. Whoa.
Oh, of the
There
card?
was my words.
Yeah.
The synchronicity that is coming up, because the tarot card I just pulled is the Two of Swords. And this is actually about decision making and letting go of something that's happening. You're kind of at a crossroads. Like literally, you see there's a crossroads here. But figuratively, you can think this person is trying to make a decision, like which way are we going here? And they're actually blindfolded. Let me bring it a little closer, but they're blindfolded. So, like, make this decision intuitively. Step back and away from that, whatever it is that you're trying to find clarity on. Allow yourself to relax into it or find that neutral place if you're emotional, and make the decision with your intuition, with whatever comes up for you. The blue and the white on the card, there's the blue sky, the white cloak, the white ground. Not a lot of color other than those two colors, is actually about readiness for love and realizations rather than struggle. You think white, a white flag, like I give up. I'm done fighting all of this mess. This is something that I need to step away from, and we'll find peace here. And then you said something about decisions, I think, toward the end. And oh no, you didn't. That was me writing stuff down. That making decisions, again, because of the blindfold, like you're making this decision without other things getting in the way. You think your sight without things being cloudy. So if you're finding yourself finding resistance and bumping up into things, maybe there's something going on for you in your life right now. Again, look within for answers. Don't try and push against all the time. If you're feeling that resistance, there's probably something there that's trying to turn you a different direction. And I think that had a lot to do with the moons too, because you said we were shedding a lot, like shedding things and releasing. So, like we do with most of the moon cycles, we're always calling in something new, or we're releasing something that we no longer want or need, or
we're completing something.
we're completing a cycle.
Yeah, it's really like, because if you really can pay attention to where you were during the new moon phase of that was the
Right.
planting phase, right? That was the seed level of almost like an idea, right?
Yeah.
Where you want to go. And then when you get to the full moon, it's like, well, did you get there? That's
Mm-hmm.
the question to ask yourself. Well, did you get there? Are there things that you need to release to get there? Or is something just completely ending right now? And maybe you need to find acceptance and surrender. I feel like white also represents surrendering.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
really,
Which is, go ahead.
I was just say, just really allow yourself to take a good look in the mirror. I mean, Aries is about the me, right? It's in the first house. It falls in the first house. So, and the first house is all about me, my identity, who I am. Aries is the first sign of the zodiac. So, who are you? And for all the undefined G centers, open G centers that you're constantly asking yourself, this is going to be a chance for you to really take a hard look in the mirror. And even the defined G centers, what the fuck have you been holding on to that is no longer you? Because whether you're defined or open, we're constantly evolving. And if you're defined, that could almost be harder because you can't even recognize who you no longer are because you're trying to hold on to this identity because you feel like that's how people see you, that's how you see yourself, and it's hard to not see yourself as this way anymore. I always talk about, for me, when I did hair and makeup for 14 years. I went to school for it. I dedicated my life to it. I thought, especially at the beginning, that this was it. I'm a defined heart and defined G center. And I'm like, this is it. I'm committed for life. And I never wanted to leave more in my life than probably after that fucking accident where that was my first out, which was about 3 years in. I stayed for 14 years. So if you want to talk about defined G centers, holding on to things that are not meant for you sometimes we fall into things and they're for a moment, and or we went the wrong way, just because you're a defined G center does not mean you just know direction.
Mm-hmm.
I think people get that confused sometimes. I go the wrong way all the time. I'm also a fucking third line. So listen, like I've made a lot of mistakes and I can now spot fires where I'm like, no, that's not gonna work out. I'm not going that direction. So learn from your mistakes, allow yourself to release this version of you. If it's not serving you, it's gotta go. It's not easy to do. It might not happen overnight. Hell, it's probably not gonna fucking happen overnight. Okay.
No.
Give yourself a little grace and surrender to the process right now. And I feel like with a lot of the intuitive gates, a lot of the splenic gates that are inviting us at the beginning of the week to really take a hard look at what, like, give us a little bit more awareness, right? Because the spleen is an awareness center. So it's, I feel like at the beginning of the week, it's trying to bring us into this deeper awareness of ourselves so that when we get to the end of the week, we can be like, okay, I'm finally ready to surrender and let go of this identity. So, sorry, I went on a tangent.
No, that's okay because it leads perfectly into the second card, which I got is called Crumbling.
Yeah, that's exactly what's happening right now.
Yep. So that was just you needed to say all those things. So it was a good gateway to this next one. So I'll read from the book. It says there is a shift happening right now, and there is, where anything inauthentic can no longer survive. Like that's the most truest statement ever. Relationships, jobs, social structures, anything built on a shaky ground is destined to tumble down. It's happening to bring you back home to who you truly are, both individually and as a society as a whole, so you can live a life that is in alignment with who you truly are. When you're in the thick of it, it can feel like a personal attack from the universe. Have faith because the difficult times will be your defining moments. You will be reborn in the fire. You are being called to surrender, to stop trying to hold it all together, to loosen your grip. Let the crumbling occur. It may be difficult at first, but in the end, the sooner you let go, the sooner the rebirthing will occur. So ask yourself, what are you trying to hold together? What are you trying your best to avoid? And how are you trying to pretend that everything is okay? You have what it takes to allow what is falling away to tumble and fall. Once the tower has crumbled, you will be able to rebuild your home on a solid ground with mighty foundations and a view that is so magnificent that it will take your breath away with each new morning. Kali, the goddess of destruction, and the Black Madonna are with you now. Lay it all on their altar. They can hold it all.
Yeah, that's like basically what I said, but in a card.
Exactly. Like literally, or almost every. It's just like it's just confirmation that that's all.
This is what the energy, like Leah always pulls the energy
Always,
of
always.
of the week, and like especially like it's so much more relevant with this full moon, especially.
Yep.
So shed some layers this week. Use the beginning of the week to see what you are not allowing yourself to see. That's what these splenic
Yeah.
gates are helping you do. There's a whole storyline playing out through the transits that we have no idea. Even a lot of the people that talk about this stuff, and I see a lot of more human design people starting to talk about the transits now. Like I've talked about them from day one. I knew how important they were. Nobody was fucking listening to me, but I was like, listen, bitches, I'm still gonna speak the truth here. But listen, there are steps happening. And as a generator and desire motivation, I see the chess pieces on Power View. I fucking see where the chess pieces are moving. Now, start using those chess pieces for you to move yourself across the board. Okay. These are geometric patterns that we are here to follow that we're not even capturing because we're too blinded by the illusion. We're too blinded by the mind. Let's get into the fucking mind and come back into the body this week, friends. Okay. So that's about it. We've talked a lot, talked
That's
a
it.
lot of nonsense, talked a lot of truth. Take what you want, leave the rest. And we'll see you guys over on the next one.
I'll see you later.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. Krystle and I are really here as defined hearts to provide value to you with our unique insights. If you have found any of this episode valuable to you, we ask that you share with a friend, tag us with a highlight on Instagram, and write us a review so we can reach more people. Human design and astrology are tools to guide us toward our transformation. You are a unique and beautiful being, and we encourage you to let that light inside of you shine bright. See you in the next episode, friends.